You can't say the White Sox are boring. They might be frustrating, but so far they are not boring. White Sox held on to beat the defending champs on Sunday and split the four-game series. Bullpen issues and missed opportunities with runners in scoring position were problematic all weekend long, but some clutch hitting and amazing defense helped the White Sox bring a 2-2 record back to the South Side for the home opener against the San Francisco Giants.
You are Locked On White Sox, your daily Chicago White Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, Sox fans, welcome to Locked On White Sox. Thank you for making Locked On White Sox your first listen each and every day. We're free and available on all platforms. Follow us on Twitter at Locked On Sox. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just search Locked On White Sox. Today's episode is brought to you by Ultimate Baseball GM. Ever dreamed of becoming an MLB GM and managing your baseball franchise? And this game is definitely for you. To download the game, just visit ultimatebaseballgm.com or to look it up on the app stores. Our listeners get a 100% free boost to their franchise when using the promo code Locked On in the game. Hey, I'm your host, Nick Morawski, a lifelong diehard Chicago White Sox fan, recording this podcast just blocks from the ballpark in beautiful Bridgeport. You can find me on Twitter at Nick_GGTB. Locked On White Sox is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. State of our White Sox, they are 2-2. What a series. Frustrating at times, highs, lows, ups, downs. What a game on Sunday. That is where we are going to start. Sox beat the Astros 6-3. Of course, split the series, the bookends, game 1 and game 4. I did not think the White Sox looked overmatched against the defending champs. They hung in there with the Astros all weekend long. Bullpen issues, which we're going to talk about, situational hitting as well, and a lack of discipline at the plate contributed to some tense moments and a couple of losses in Houston. Sox had a lead in all 4 of the games. So heading into Sunday's game, White Sox were actually first in all of Major League Baseball with 32 hits entering Sunday's game. Top 10 in average, 13th in slugging percentage. Sunday was not a Sunday lineup. You might have noticed that. Pretty consistent. Once again, Pedro Grifol sticking to his word with those lineups. You did not see Hanser Alberto or Romy Gonzalez or Gavin Sheets starting the game on Sunday, which is what you might have expected for a getaway game. This is, again, what Grifol had said in the past. We can't win a championship in the spring, but we can lose one in the spring if we're not prepared. I truly believe that. So your Sunday lineup, T.A., Robert, Benintendi, Jimenez at DH once again, Moncada, Vaughn, Grandal, Colas, and Andrews. This is what Grifol said about Luis Robert coming into Sunday's game. Hitting in that 2 spot, been scuffling all weekend long. I'm not concerned about Luis Robert at all. He's one of our better hitters. Number 2 hole is a good spot for him. He's one swing away from being electric. That can happen tonight in the first inning. Who knows? His track record is pretty good. Robert destroyed a baseball in his first at-bat for a double and then crushed a solo home run in the 5th. I think he's going to be all right. Second inning in Sunday's game, these were some frustrating moments. Sacks packed with Sox, nobody out. Oscar Colas, an opportunity for some situational hitting. Burying cutters down and in was Garcia for Houston. And Colas just could not lay off of him, struck him out. That is something that I think the opposition is going to be aware of when pitching to Oscar Colas. throughout the year, unless he makes some changes. He could not lay off of that, although that cutter was pretty nasty. Elvis Andrus, he had a 2-0 count. He struck out on a cutter, and then Tim Anderson grounded out. That was early in the game. It was pathetic, though, and that popped up another time on Sunday. Bases loaded, nobody out. That was a problem last year and early on. A problem for the White Sox. Everybody was having problems with Garcia's cutter. It was tough. Fourth inning, Moncada led off with a walk. Yasmani Grandal with a double. Second and third, one out for Colas. More cutters, perhaps. He saw a few, but nothing as nasty as his previous at-bat. He had an infield pop-up. And then Elvis Andrus looking for that hit 2,000 in his career, but a fly out to center field. Sox, after the fourth, they were 1 for 8 with runners in scoring position, a sad trend in this first series. Fifth inning, Sox get on board thanks to that bomb by Luis Robert in the Crawford boxes in left field. 1-0 White Sox. Sixth inning, it could have been worse. They could have really poured it on, but it was good enough. Moncada with another double. He had quite the series. Andrew Vaughn with another left center hit. Moncada scored 2-0 Sox. Yaz with a walk. First and second, nobody out. Baker finally pulled Garcia. Colas with another opportunity with runners in scoring position. He takes one down the third base line for a double. It was 3-0 Sox. Bases loaded, nobody out. Sox, they could really bust it open and help a struggling bullpen, and it was struggling heading into Sunday. Tim Anderson struck out. Robert with a fly out to short center field, and Benintendi grounded out to second. Sox failed to score for the second time in the game with bases loaded and nobody out. Eighth inning, though, huge insurance run with Colas at second. Tim Anderson with an RBI double to dead center field, 4-1 Sox. And then the ninth, Yoan Moncada with a 2-run home run. Mercy, he had a series, 6-1 Sox. Andrew Vaughn with another double. Sox offense on Sunday, 6 runs, 13 hits. Moncada 3 for 4 with 2 doubles and a home run. Grandal 3 for 4. Sox were 5 for 19 with runners in scoring position. In the series, Yoan Moncada 8 for 18, with 2 home runs, 2 RBIs. He looked really good. He looked locked in. Mike Clevinger on the hill for the White Sox has not faced the Astros since 2018 when he was with Cleveland, of course. Was 1-3 with an ERA of 3.98 and 21 strikeouts in 4 appearances against the Astros in his career coming into Sunday's game. First inning, pretty good slider. He had movement on his pitches. Fastball was at 95 miles per hour, and it stayed there. He hit Abreu with a pitch, issued a walk to Tucker, who was dangerous. 22 pitches in the first inning. After 3 innings, 1 hit, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, hit 2 batters, 62 pitches after 3 innings. Battled, got through the 5th thanks to an outstanding catch by Colas in right field to end that inning. Clevinger, not too bad at all. 5 innings, 3 hits, 0 runs, 3 walks, hit a couple guys, 8 strikeouts. Velocity stayed in that 95, 96 mile per hour range. Heading into Sunday's game, White Sox bullpen pitched 8 innings in the series and had given up 8 earned runs. It was rough, especially on Friday. 6th inning, Santos came in. Wild pitch, Houston scored a run. And then 7th, it was Bummer, vintage Bummer. Thought he might get the 8th, but that was Graveman. Graveman throwing strikes this time on Sunday. It was a clean inning. And so you had a feeling, this is the 9th for Lopez. Now, I think he thought it was going to be a save situation when he started warming up. Sox tacked on some runs in the 9th. It was 6-1 when Lopez came in the game in the bottom of the 9th, and things got interesting. It was not the same Lopez we saw on Thursday. Walked the first 2 hitters. Robert with another absolutely amazing catch. He flashed leather all series long. If they were giving out a gold glove after the first series throughout baseball, you got to say Robert would get that. Abreu was up, and Jose Abreu doing Jose Abreu things. He had an RBI base hit to right field, just taking what the pitcher gives him. 2 outs. It was 6-2 Sox at this point. Houston with runners on the corners, another base hit. 6-3 Sox. Houston with tying run at the plate, and Lopez, wow, got a weak pop out to Vaughn to end things. It was very interesting. It was tense, but happy with the way it ended. White Sox, again, they had those bases loaded, nobody out situations, couldn't score. They kept grinding, and they tacked up a lot of hits and finally made it count. Later in the game. Could have been worse. Sox, it could have been like 15-3 or something. The Sox could have really busted it open. I'll take the 6-3 win. I'll take the split. We're going to talk a little how the Sox were nickel and dimed on Saturday with Giolito on the hill and had a bullpen meltdown on Friday. More on that in a moment. Today's episode is brought to you by Ultimate Baseball GM. Hey, really excited about our new partner and sponsor of today's episode, the mobile game Ultimate Baseball GM. Ever dreamed of becoming an MLB GM and managing your professional baseball franchise? Well, your dream can come true, and this game is definitely for you. Manage every strategic aspect of your team, play through the season, and lead your team to glory. You're responsible for hiring the right coaches and staff, scouting and drafting players, navigating your franchise through free agency and all the ups and downs of a season. All this in a challenging and realistic game world. Ultimate Baseball GM is completely free and playable offline. Play on the go as you want and when you want to. Now is your chance to prove that you can be more competent than Rick Hahn. No guarantee that you'll have as much job security as him, but it'll be fun to have a seat at the table over and over again. Hopefully you set the market and be proactive instead of reactive. Locked On White Sox listeners get 100% free boost to their franchise when using the promo code Locked On in the game store. So make sure to check it out. To download the game, visit probaseballgm.com. Scan the code or look it up on the app stores. That's probaseballgm.com. Ultimate Baseball GM. Start your dynasty today. Game 3, Saturday's game, Sox lost 6-4. Lucas Giolito coming into the game 2-5 with an ERA of 6.21 and 32 strikeouts in 7 appearances against the Astros in his career. He faced Houston twice in 2022, 8 combined innings in those 2 starts, 15 earned runs. Sox offense, top 5 in the order, exactly the same as Friday. If you like consistent lineups, that's what Pedro Grifol gave you this series. Andrew Vaughn returned. He did not play on Friday, which we'll get to. And Sebi Zavala gave Yaz a breather on Saturday. A small sample size, but coming into the game, Sebi was 5 for 13 last year against Houston with 5 strikeouts. Moncada and Sebi had home runs. Aloy with an RBI shattered bat single. Sox offense on Saturday, 4 runs, 10 hits. They struck out 12 times, drew 4 walks. Jimenez walked twice, which is a good sign, but Sox 2 for 9 with runners in scoring position. Stranded Vaughn on second with nobody out in the 6th. That was a tough one for sure. And then they had a first and third with 2 outs. Andrus could not get the job done. Moncada had a throwing error. Robert, wow, one of the greatest catches you're going to see, and probably one of the greatest catches he's had in a White Sox uniform on Saturday to rob a home run. If you did not see a lot of baseball, White Sox baseball this past weekend, find those catches by Luis Robert. He had several of them. It was unbelievable. His makeup speed, just unreal. Giolito on the hill, 5 innings, 3 runs, 2 earned runs, a walk, 6 strikeouts, 97 pitches. Houston's 2 of their 3 runs off Giolito came in the first inning. The 2 runs were with 2 outs. He didn't give up the big home run, but those early game in runs, that's been a problem for Giolito. Had a pitch clock violation, struck out Abreu 3 times. It was really death by paper cuts, though, against Giolito. And if you saw the game, you know what I mean. If the shift was in play, a lot of those hits by Houston might have been gobbled up. This is what Giolito said after the game. Didn't do my job. Need to get through 6. That's our goal as starters. Did not pitch efficiently to get through 6. Bullpen struggles again. Gave up 3+ runs, second game in a row. Kelly was touching 100 miles per hour. He only had an inning, 2 hits, a run, 1 earned run. Maybe he should have stayed in instead of replacing him with Ruiz. Pedro Grifol talked a little bit about that. It sounded like a load management situation. Ozzie was talking about this in the Sunday pregame, and he said, you know what, you got to play for today. And it sounded like he would have kept Kelly in the game. Ruiz, 2/3 of an inning, 2 hits, 2 earned runs, and a walk. Lots of base hits by Houston on Saturday. They had 11 hits, only 1 extra base hit. This is what Giolito had to say. I like how we're playing right now. It's very early, obviously, going up against a good opponent. Everybody is in the game. We're playing hard. I like seeing guys hustle big time on defense. We're running balls out. If we do that, we'll put ourselves in a good position. And Grifol said, obviously, the outcome is not what we want, but I like the way we played. If we play like that, we're going to be all right. I like the way we pitched. It comes down to the ball bounced in their direction on Saturday. Really, we'll see what happens on Sunday. Tim Anderson has 6 hits through first 3 games. Nice to see that from the top of the lineup. Interesting quote from Grifol, and in a recent Athletic article by James Fegan. I thought this was good. This is what Grifol had to say early on in this series against Houston. These guys are good hitters, and we were facing some pretty damn good pitching. The Astros are world champions out there. The last thing I want to do is overmanage. That's the last thing I want to do. These guys got to go out and play the game like they do. We're going to make adjustments. That's what we've got coaches for. That's the reason we've got those iPads and communication out there in the dugout. The last thing I want to do out there is start overmanaging and giving outs away. Again, Grifol has had so many great quotes. I thought that was a good one. Heading into Friday's game, of course, game 2, how would the intensity look? Thursday, opening day, such an emotional game. What a great win. There was no Andrew Vaughn in the lineup on Friday. There was a right-hand pitcher on the mound. Is AV a platoon? I doubt he's a platoon. I think Grifol wanted to get Gavin Sheets some action. This is what Grifol had to say. Vaughn missed about 10 days in spring training, and then we ramped up his work. He was going to sit one of these 4 games here. So you know what? Let's give him a break today, meaning Friday, and get him back out there on Saturday and the next day and at home and go from there. So maybe not so much a load management, but just, we need Gavin Sheets to get in there from time to time. Grit, Grifol said of what Lopez showed him on Thursday. Everybody know he's got talent, but he showed some grit. He had a battle through that tough part of the order. Those guys are pretty good hitters that he faced. It was just power on power. They got him once, but he showed some grit. He just kept coming at them. So thoughts on the bullpen. Bullpen was an issue on Friday. Grifol said relievers going back-to-backs possible this year. We have a good system as far as who's going to be available and who's not. They're out there doing their work right now. I'll know more in a little bit. If they're feeling good and they're available, I'll use them. Lopez said the communication this year has been way better than a couple of years ago. That has helped us all. So game 2, Friday, Sox lost to Houston 6-3. Sox offense, a very similar lineup with T.A., Robert, Benintendi, Jimenez, Moncada, Sheets, Grandal, Colas, and Andrews. Sox had 3 runs, 11 hits. T.A. drew a leadoff walk, and that was it. Sox struck out 11 times and were a much better 3 for 9 with runners in scoring position, but the bar was set low because opening day they were 1 for 10. Robert did not look good. I think his outing, his game, I should say, on Friday caused a lot of concern of why is he still in that 2 spot. He was tardy on 93 miles per hour, middle. looked a little lost. He had 4 strikeouts, 6th inning, 3 doubles in a row. Benintendi Eloy with an RBI double, followed by a Moncada double to opening things up. Hey, it was 3-0 Sox in the 6th inning. That was the thing that really got to me, as I'm sure it did for so many Sox fans. We had that game. Eloy 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs. Moncada 3 for 4 with an RBI on Friday. Pitching defense heading into Friday's game, Lance Lynn was 5-7 with an ERA of 4.41 and 98 strikeouts in 14 appearances against the Astros in his career. 4 of his last 5 appearances against Houston were in Houston. Last pitched against them in 2021. He went 4 innings, 8 hits, 1 walk, 6 earned runs. Overall, including the playoffs, Lance Lynn was 0-6 with a 9.18 ERA in his last 6 starts against Houston. Lynn loaded the bases in the 2nd inning, 2 walks and a base hit. Cats with an early visit. Sox had a 1-run lead at this point. It was such a different feel from Cease's outing. I know we got the pitch clock, so everybody's kind of moving at a similar pace, but it felt like Lynn was much slower than what Dylan Cease gave us on Thursday. Wasn't sure if Lynn was calling his own pitches. He seemed to be fooling around with PitchCom a few times. Yaz threw out a would-be base stealer, so he's been flexing some power and throwing some folks out behind plate, blocking pitches, maybe a whole different story. Lynn, after 69 pitches, a hit, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts. Lynn made a mistake to Tucker in the 6th. He hit a 2-run home run. Then Lambert came in. Lynn's final line, 5 2/3 innings, 3 hits, 2 earned runs, 4 walks, 6 strikeouts. You know he wanted to get through that last inning. Lots of intensity from Lynn, lots of emotion. His variety of fastballs were working, but too many walks. I've got to get through that inning, Lynn said after the game. If I get through that inning, we've got a chance to win, put the bullpen in a bad spot. They had to come and get me out of that inning, and it didn't go our way after that. If I get through the 6, it definitely gives us a better chance. When you don't go 6 innings, you didn't do your job as a starter, so I didn't do my job tonight, and it cost us the game. 7th inning, Kendall Graveman, back-to-back games, which is apparently his decision. That was an issue last season where he didn't want to pitch in back-to-back games. He issued 2 walks and was removed with the bases loaded. Jake Diekman comes in and gives up a base-clearing double to Alvarez in the bottom of the 7th. Yordan Alvarez had a great series. Thank goodness he didn't play on Sunday. Bullpen absolutely imploded. Sox lost a 3-0 lead in the 6th, lost the game 6-3. It should be a local holiday. White Sox home opener is finally here. They moved up the first pitch an hour to 2:10 local time. We get our first look at Michael Kopech. More on that in a moment. Today's episode is brought to you by Built Bar. The Built Bar March Madness bracket is here. We know you have a favorite bar or puff, and now is your time to make it count. Go to BuiltMarchMadness.com to vote for your favorites. You know I've been voting for double chocolate puff, so go out and support your favorite Built Bar or Puff. And when you vote for your favorite bar or puff, you'll be entered into a drawing where 50 lucky Locked On listeners will get a free box of Built. Not only that, but one Locked On fan will win a 12-month subscription to Built to have Built's best bars or puffs delivered monthly straight to your door. If you have not already, you got to try Built. Built, the best protein bar ever. They're absolutely amazing, and you won't think they're good for you. They are high in protein, low in sugar, and covered in 100% real chocolate. That is right, real chocolate. Run to BuiltMarchMadness.com right now to vote for your favorite bar or puff and pick up a box while you're out there. You can vote every day in March, so hop on in and support your pick. Hey, home opener is finally here. We got some interesting weather that could be moving in Monday afternoon, Monday evening. White Sox made an announcement on Sunday that they were going to move up the pitch, first pitch to 2:10. We've got Michael Kopech on the hill against right-handed pitcher Anthony DeScalifani from the San Francisco Giants. I'm sure I butchered that last name, but he is pitching for the Giants. Right-hand pitcher Kopech in 2022 25 starts. He was 5-9, 119 innings on his arm, 105 strikeouts in those 119 innings. He had a 3.54 ERA. This was a pretty good quote from Ethan Katz this past spring training. It's the consistency with everything, with all his stuff. Pitching coach Ethan Katz said he's throwing a curveball, he's landing it. He's throwing a slider, he's landing it. He's throwing a changeup, he's landing it. Doing that along with also maintaining his pitch shapes, so it's not the fluctuation of one great one, then losing it. It's all continuous in flow every single time he's throwing these pitches and filling up the zone every single time. That's what's been a lot different. High hopes for Michael Kopech. I'd love to see him 30-plus starts, 170 innings plus. Can we see that? That would be a difference maker for this starting rotation and this White Sox season. The 2022 San Francisco Giants, hey, they were 81-81, and they finished in third place in the NL West. Projected to finish this year third, fourth, depending on how you ask. In the NL West. You've got the car parade. I guess they're still going to be doing that, even though they're moving up the first pitch. This is when players get into convertibles and they get paraded around the outfield track, entering from the center field opening. So, hey, get there for that. And of course, AJ Pierzynski is throwing out the first pitch. Exterior of the stadium is looking good, especially on the south end of Lot B. They've protected that old Comiskey home plate. Get there early, walk around. I'll be there for sure down the third base line. Try to get there a little early myself just to check out the new stuff and all those new eats that are available throughout the ballpark. It's exciting stuff. Hey, could have been 3-1 at this point. The Sox are 2-2. Definitely some bullpen stuff. That was a thing that I talked about, and I know you probably talked about, with other Sox fans in your life. Bullpen question mark heading into this season, especially as we wait on Garrett Crochet and obviously Hendricks, who's battling, and we've heard some good things from everything what's going on with Hendricks and his treatment, but question marks there. And maybe Pedro Grifol could have done some different things, but guys have to do the job. Graveman. Yeah, maybe it shouldn't have been on him, but Diekman gave up that base clearing double. Diekman's got to do his job. I get it, lefty on lefty, but maybe Diekman wasn't the right person in that spot. Maybe Grifol learns from that. We'll see. Graveman did look different on Sunday, throwing some strikes. What I liked is that the offense kept grinding. They could have got down on themselves and they said, we can't score with bases loaded, nobody out. But, man, Yoan Moncada looks absolutely different. Luis Robert responded after a really rough start. He had a great game on Sunday. Andrew Vaughn's hitting the ball. Elvis Andrus needs to come along here offensively, but some great defense. Oscar Colas defended his position in right field, and Luis Robert, as I said, you get a gold glove for this past weekend. So good stuff, I think. Promising stuff, I think, from the Chicago White Sox team as they are 2-2 heading into Monday's home opener. Hey, thank you so much for making this podcast part of your daily routine. You can find the Locked On White Sox podcast absolutely everywhere you find your podcast. We are on Twitter at Locked On Sox. You can find me on Twitter at Nick_GGTB. Hey, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks for making Locked On White Sox your first listen. Now for your second listen, check out the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast. Win your league by listening to Matt and Dom every day as they bring you the best fantasy draft strategies. Find Locked On Fantasy Baseball wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Hey, on the next episode, I'll recap the home opener, Michael Kopech against the San Francisco Giants. Baseball is back on the South Side. Really appreciate you making time for the Locked On White Sox podcast. I'm Nick Morawski. Until next time, go Sox.